Pietragallo, a Hollywood actor and producer who shares his life lessons about getting rid of addictions and unnecessary and useless baggage. He asks, who says you can't? His message is, do something you've never done before. Revitalize your spirit. This is Andy in the studio, and you're watching Boomer TV. Join us at bloomerboomer.com and be part of an amazing community of 55 plus. And now, here's Gene.
Thank you, Andy. Hello, Bloomers. Bloomer Boomers. Bloomer Boomers. How are you today? My name is Gene Pietragallo. Gene Comes Clean. My Life of Excess with Gene Pietragallo here on Boomer TV. Excited to be with you here on Friday afternoon. I know you got some folks that are going to shake it up and get you all ready for the weekend. I'm going to do that too in a different way, maybe in terms of motivating you inside, maybe a little spiritual inspiration. Remember, what our friend Dylan Thomas says, do not go gentle into that good night. At the end of the day, old age should burn and rage against the dying of the light. Rage against the dying of the light. I find more and more that I was just talking to Andy before the show about longevity and what's the difference? What's the difference between boomers and millennials? Well, one thing is that boomers can't say millennial, but it's life experience and those experiences, hopefully, as we get older, sometimes consciously, unconsciously, give us some wisdom and the wisdom to make choices based on the facts and based on what's right and wrong. And I don't know. Hopefully we pick up a little bit of something every day. I'm of the belief that what you need to do is learn something every day, push the bar a little higher every day. If you're coming from the world I'm coming from, and that's why, to stick to the topic, you listen to this show, it kind of says it right there. Gene Comes Clean, my life of excess. So obviously I thought that I have been through enough of life experiences, and most of them fueled by my drug of choice, alcohol, that, man, I can come clean about a bunch of things, and a bunch of things that were caused by my addiction. But also my life of excess included everything you can imagine, from food, booze, clothes, I like nice things as well. And my addiction did too, but I couldn't keep up with it. There was something more powerful in my life. And if you're sitting at home, if you're listening to this, if you're wherever you're tuning in, know that there's life after it. There's life after admission of addiction. There's not a life after addiction. Addiction is not something that we can sweep up and put in a little pile and throw it away like your gallbladder that has no function anyway. Addiction has a function, and that is, addiction's function is to keep you addicted. So, you can't take a course and you can't be hypnotized, and you can't promise not to. You need to work at it every day. Every day is a brand new day, which isn't that neat? Every day is a new day. That's what we learned in addiction. And that we don't rest on our yesterdays. We don't think about our tomorrows. Every day is a new day. Pretty cool, huh? Sometimes when I think about what we agreed to talk about on this show, which is Gene Coming Clean and the ridiculous, and that's why, alcoholism is, the actions that addicts from alcohol suffer are overt. They're just big actions, and they're embarrassing, and they're done in public places. I don't wish I was anything else, and I didn't wish to be this. I do now, that I've been able to face it, come clean, and live with it as best I can every day. But that's a whole other subject. What I was thinking about is that when you decide to change anything, it's a commitment to yourself and to really understanding and realizing you have a problem. So, as we get older, we get really set in our ways. I know, uh, a lot of good men, sincerely, a lot of good men that drank themselves to death too early, and it was a shame to lose them. And and it's the same with any other drug. They have that it has that grasp on you. See, and but in our society, we don't do that. If the over drinking is connected to tremendous success and even an above modicum of success, well, he works hard, he drinks, let him be. But we all know, you can see the toll it takes on some of our buddies who are just extremely red faced and look like they're always sweating and look like this and that. And then those are the effects of alcohol, which is a really powerful drug, which really can tear you apart and break you down. So if you've ever talked about it to anybody, I had a friend call me over the last couple of days, and I would never name any names, but this person wanted me to know that they, couldn't drink. His family was around and they couldn't, so they were white knuckling it through. And as soon as they wanted me to know for whatever reason, because they know I'm living a sober life, but as soon as I even said, I'm going to do something, they said, you know what, Gene, I'm drinking too much. I talked to my family about it. I'm going to do something about it. As soon as I said, which would be natural, well, what are you going to do? They needed to get back to me. They said, you know what, why don't you give me a call later when you get settled? Well, I was settled and I was on the phone. And, that's what our depressions, our addictions, anything that is a personal problem like that, they're the the redheaded stepchild, the redheaded step cousin, whoever that redhead is that we all don't know what's wrong with redheaded people. I like them. Sorry. But I digress. But anyway, the point is that we don't ask that question. What are you going to do about it? Well, you know what I'm going to do? Gosh dang it. I drank myself into such a tizzy that I need 3 days to recover. And then by then I should be good. I'm going to be good for the game on Sunday. I mean, there's no way to live like that. You don't have to live in the rut you're in. And I guess it brings us all around to, and once again, Andy Asher, whose brainchild Bloomer Boomers is, and who's nice enough to let me be here on the air with you. Next week, by the way, I'll be on twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. But 3, I'm really excited about it. 3, I think so. Am I on election day? And if I am, I am. And the reason I mentioned Andy was earlier, they sent out a thing, or can you tense the anxiety in America? Can you sense it in your neighborhood? Can you sense it everywhere? I think so. I know I can. I mean, look, at this point, if you don't know who you want to vote for president, then maybe you shouldn't vote. So I don't know if anybody's changing nobody's going to change your mind right now. But this entire hateful process, for me, there's no winner in it. I'm not, neither side has done anything to show me a whole bunch of class. And I know there's one that has more than the other and all that jazz. But anyway, here comes the day we've been talking about for, I don't know, 17 years now. It feels like it, but it's election day, and election day is Tuesday. So now, after all this talk at the same time, and there are things, tense enough, boom, here goes the corona. The corona back bigger than ever, and states closing down, El Paso, all over the country. We're going back into that closed down place. I know that we need to wear masks when we go out. I'm not at all commenting on this thing, but I'll speak for myself. When I go out, I only have so much airtime when I have to have the mask on constantly. If I'm out in public or in one of the big box stores that are allowed to stay open no matter what, I can't stay there too long. I find that mask really, really constricting. And, so, but I mean, I follow the rules. Um, what anybody says, I'm not here to make trouble or go against them. I'm just saying that I feel it. It almost, we've been trained now over these months to feel safer back in our sequestered in our homes, and now we can't have, you shouldn't have your family over for Thanksgiving. You shouldn't do trick or treating, no matter what. I don't know. Did they cancel the trick or treating in the bubonic plague days? Or was there not trick or treating then? Anyway, I just know that I feel the tension. And whenever things are tense, it's like we've talked about here, then we go to our go-tos. What's everybody say? What is everybody doing universally? That's universally the only thing a bigger problem in our country than, what we consider drugs and alcohol. Food. So everybody's complaining about food. Not complaining about it. They're eating too much of it. And we're eating too much of it because, food calms us down. Give me that. Let me have that, please. Let me have some more. The same feeling. It's going to let me, comfort food. That's what they call it. So we're eating too much. We're getting a little heavy. It's harder to get off the couch. It's harder to work out enough. I work out and go walking and do things. And you know what? Lately, I just been like, maybe I just want to sit here and see what happens. I want to find out if, how the world's going to react to whatever decision happens next Tuesday, or how long that decision is going to take to actually be real. So yeah, there's a lot of tension, and there's a lot more riding on this than I think any election in my entire upbringing. And I'm a 61-year-old boomer who was a little kid but remembers, really a little kid, but remembers the black and white, JFK assassination, but remembers all the great speeches and remembers all the presidents through the years. We watched so many of them. And a lot of times when I think of politics when I was little, it's being in my grandmother and grandfather's living room. My grandfather in his big chair and the ottoman, and we had, the big console TV, and you had to be quiet. And you had to have respect, and people weren't throwing things at the TV or yelling expletives. So it's changed a lot. There's changed a lot. People want to know what side you're on. People don't want you to question why you're on that side. If you're not on their side, then you're their enemy. So, and if you don't want to pick sides, you're both parties' enemy, I guess. But it makes it hard. It makes it hard for all of us to see the good in it. Well, we got to go back to basics, and the basics are we can't control this. You can control it because you've already pre-mailed or voted, or you're going to go the old-fashioned way and show up on Tuesday and vote in person. That's the only thing you can do to change the outcome of what this country is going to go through. Other than that, what you can do is be prepared. Be prepared to be open-minded. Be prepared to for maybe a little bit of a rocky road, but it's not going to hurt your day to day. Hopefully it won't hurt your day to day. So, I can only tell you that, in movies and everywhere else, and, whenever things are tense, they tell you to have a drink. Geez, you won't believe what I just went through. I know, have a drink. It doesn't really work that way, And, do you notice in a movie, someone like finishes off a big bottle of something at, twilight, and a few minutes later they're fine and going back into battle. That's not how it works. We can anesthetize ourselves with a Tylenol PM or NyQuil, or, whatever pills you take, or maybe you take an extra one because it's getting harder to sleep. Don't do it. One thing I want to talk to Andy about in a little bit was last week we left the show and said we were going to call someone. We hadn't talked to him in quite a while, someone that meant something to us, and someone that we think about, and I should do that, but I never get to that call. I did make that call. I called an old friend of mine that during the peak of my peak, the roaring, talk about raging of my alcoholism, out of control physically and mentally, is a gentleman that stayed behind me business wise. I mean, business wise in terms of putting up goods and services and cash, and always believed in me. Only once just took me apart, and he took me apart like a disappointed brother. I've known that gentleman for a long time. He's a little older than me. He's always listened. He's always made me feel I was worth the time in the conversation. So I called him. I had an hour conversation. If I'm lying, 40 some minutes. I mean, it was a great conversation. Um, and I want to do that more often. It changed my whole day. So he was actually happy to hear from me. That can happen to all of us. There's people out there for all of us, no matter how far we look back, that'd be happy to hear your voice and see how you're doing. The more we can talk to people, especially people that we're comfortable with, and we can let down my defenses. I found out that my friend, who I look up to this now, he has the same insecurities and feelings I do about what's going on in the world right now. So, strength in numbers. And you're not going to find that if you're home hiding out. All right. If you're stuck at home because of the corona, then pick up the phone. You can. I'm sitting here talking to you on Zoom. I said, when we started this, there's no way I can do this because I'm not very tech savvy. And I wasn't even going to try and do it because there's no way I could make this happen. Andy makes it really easy, but even as easy as he makes it, it still scares me. So, geez, I don't know what to tell you guys. Turn the TV off, turn the news off. Please hunker down and try and do something, silly and as goofy and geeky as it sounds. Like play a board game or as I said, just do something, because there's nothing you're going to glean from the news in the next couple of days except mudslinging and shit throwing and talking, and you're not going to glean anything there. You're not going to change anybody's opinion if you're just so impassioned to. So look inside. I am not really a secret deacon, but I would tell you that praying is useful and beneficial. Okay, and it doesn't mean you're a religious zealot if you pray, and so maybe instead of talking about how you see it versus how someone else sees it and all, maybe we could all be a little spiritual, say a little prayer that we can all walk through this and accept the outcome of the election, accept that we're obviously a country in the middle of a lot of change, and go with it. We're not going to change it. So, when you're saying your prayers for those you love, you can add your country in there. It's okay to just pray for your country. But, take it easy, everybody. Take it easy this weekend. I'd like to find Andy, because before we go, I want to see if he made that phone call.
Hey, Gene, I'm really glad you brought that up. I thought you maybe forgot, because I almost forgot until you mentioned it. And yes, I did, definitely.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Andy.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
It went great. I hadn't spoke. His name is Larry. I haven't, he was a good friend, still is a good friend. He lives a little bit of a distance away, and I hadn't spoken to him. It hasn't been that long, maybe a year and a half, but that's a while. And yeah, I was really glad. I would really, you know what? It's amazing the benefit that you can get by somebody saying, "Hey, why don't you do this?" And I really felt good after I did it.
Yeah, you didn't want anything.
Right.
My friend's name was Dave. I had a great talk with him, and realized that I didn't. It's not about that. It was about that I really like Dave, and we get along well. So it was a wonderful talk. We're going to see each other in a few weeks, couple weeks. Yeah, I want to do that more often.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent idea, and not to get too deep into it, but hey, it never hurts to have someone say, hey, do this, just try it, and you feel
Gotta
good about
try it. You think nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to change everything. I heard for so long from so many people, we're all our worst enemy when it comes to changing the things we should, because all of us have trouble looking at ourselves. It's how easy is it to go, I know what that guy needs to do. If he would just do this instead and act like this, things would go really great for him. Well, we can all do that, but looking at ourselves is hard. So,
good.
every once in a while, it's good to take a little advice.
Yeah,
and I listened to the change thing so long, and I finally realized, and I got to tell you, the first little bit, when I realized, I still wanted to take credit for it, but it wasn't. I was following other people's advice that change is good and to get your head out of a rut and all that jazz. So.
Yeah, and he's living the COVID life, and so I'm sure appreciates hearing from somebody now and then.
He's been in the same place for 6 months.
Yeah.
And another friend of mine, Chris, I actually talked to the week or so before. I hadn't talked to him forever, and he's been in the Caicos Islands, off of Florida there, Fort Lauderdale, I guess. Is that what that is?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's been there for the last 6 months. Tough duty. Look at us. You and I are here working our butts off.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I know. Oh, well.
I don't know how I'll be able to do this twice a week. Seriously.
Well,
you know what I've been doing, Larry? I've been having Andy. Larry is your friend.
Yeah, that's
I've been making some custom clothes in my off time during the thing. These are some new things right here. Look at this shirt. You see?
Nice. Yeah.
Let's say.
Oh, I see.
Oh my gosh. Steeler logo.
Oh, okay. It's your Pittsburgh Steeler, it looks like, huh?
You're kidding. I had them sewn in all of my shirts.
Uh-huh.
It's just kind of subtle. Not that there's a big game or anything, but the boomer crowd and the enthusiasm of our viewers has so far been really good to the Steeler Nation.
Yeah, I guess that.
So thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, do we have any questions out there?
Yeah, actually, there's one from Paul, and he says that his son is 35 and he isn't taking his advice about addictions, and he wonders if he's doing it right.
Not. The answer is there's no right answer. The answer is I'm not surprised. How's that? I've had that what if discussion with friends, sober adults, and about their children. I will tell you then, just for myself, I hope none of my kids are touched with it. You never know. They're young. But I would be. Here's the answer. I'd be the last person they should talk to. I'm their dad. It'd be great if we could have discussions about it, but I would think that I'd want them to talk to somebody other than me that they respect and like. It's maybe a little harder to come clean to your dad. I'd be there to help for anything, though, of course. But we all know somebody that's been through it. So I'm sure, Paul, you probably know someone that's been through this, whether it's their wife or children or whoever, some loved one. So call someone and get some advice.
There's one here from Debbie. I think it's more of a statement than a question, but Debbie says that she's been trying to come clean now for 10 years. She appreciates what you're doing here, and it gives her hope.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Debbie? If you have just a little bit of hope, don't give up. I really believe that I was at no point just completely void of hope, because I think if I was, I wouldn't have made it. I think I might have died. I might have just expired. But for some reason, in this thick head of mine, I was like, you gotta, what the problem is, because that is the problem. You're not alone, Debbie. You know how many people are out there that have known and lived with the problem of their alcoholism, once again, like we say, or their food addiction or their opioid addiction, all of that stuff. And for 10 years, they've been aware of it themselves, not that people were just talking about it. And it's hard. It's an addiction of the body and mind. So the fact that you're thinking about it, the fact that it makes you hopeful means when you're hopeful, you're hoping that something good will happen. So stick with your instincts, and the same with you. Please call somebody. You're welcome to get in touch with me, through the show and through my email, as a few of you have, and I really enjoy that and make a point of getting back to you. But just keep going in that direction, Deb, because you will be hopeful in a big way if you can just stay off the alcohol for a while.
This is just one that from last week. I don't know if we got to it. That I just thought I'd wrap up here with this one from who's it from? Patty. She says she was remarried after her husband died, and then found out her new husband is an alcoholic, and not sure what to do, to leave him or find help. So she's just asking about that.
Well, the same thing. What you find about an addiction, and in the wee bit I know, that everything I know is personal and true that I'll tell you, and anybody could disagree, but I know it's true because I tell you about things that have happened to me, right? But alcoholics, because alcohol itself is very deceiving, we're good at hiding our problem. We're good at playing it normal, but the curtain gets lifted, man, eventually, and so you fell in love with this guy and you married him. So I guess it's worth a shot to say, hey, I didn't know you came with this malady that's obviously untreated. So I think for that, he needs to come clean, and if he made no announcement or informed you that this is something he shouldn't do, then he should get clean, and he should do something about it.
Well, have him watch the show.
Have him watch the show.
Yeah. So let's see. You're going to be on. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but you're going to be here next week.
I think I do right here. Okay. November 3rd.
Okay.
3 to 4. November 6th. 3 to 4.
Fantastic. All right.
Yeah. Next week, November 3rd. Wow. Okay.
Well, we will.
There'll be a lot to talk about that day.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that's for sure. Talk about anxieties, right? Yeah.
All right. We'll have a little room set up here with some results and maybe some meditation or chanting that can help people calm down a little bit.
There you go.
But everybody, let's take it in stride. Have a good weekend. I said, let it go, man. There's nothing you can do now except vote if you haven't. So, Andy, always thank you very much. And anybody out there, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. My name's Gene. Gene Comes Clean here on the Boomer TV network. See you next week.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you. And thank you for watching. Gene Pietragallo, Gene Comes Clean, My Life of Excess. Join him every week at boomerboomer.com and be part of this this amazing show. I don't know. I think Gene, come on. We can't close this out. Come on now.
I'm really sorry, you guys.
No way.
Yeah. Listen.
Yes.
How can it be so bad? Right? Look at this guy. He was going in. He was done. He was going to the slaughterhouse. Look at him now. Look at him now. All right, you guys.
He's a happy fellow. Thanks, Gene.
See you guys.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. So long, and thanks for joining us.